Hello and welcome to our scoop. Be sure to subscribe and hit the like button if you enjoy this video. Story 1. Just found some explicit messages on my 32M wife's 30F phone, but not sure if she is cheating. I don't even know where to start. I came home from work early because I felt like vomiting all day after I found out this morning, and I couldn't be around people anymore. My wife and I both use Reddit. And usually it's no harm, things like am I the a-hole etc., and we often show each other or read off funny things we find. Last night, we were sitting on the couch and I was playing a game and I saw she was on Reddit, but typing sometimes and smiling. I'm all like, babe, what are you posting? And she shows me a random post that's not her, but then goes to the bathroom saying she's having stomach issues after a couple minutes with her phone and stays there for a while. It's pretty clear she's typing and not wanting me to see, but I try not to think too much about it. We trust each other and I don't want to invade her privacy. She doesn't come back to the couch and says she's going to bed, very early for her, and I join her later and see she's still occasionally looking at her phone. But I'm exhausted and pass out. When I wake up today, I have the strangest feeling inside me. Like I know something is horribly wrong and it has to do with last night. I really shouldn't have done this when I had this presentation at work today, but I can't help it. When she's in the shower, I snoop on her phone. I don't have much time, but I look at her Reddit account. Turns out she has a couple of throwaway accounts where she's all up sexting with guys. I am almost throwing up typing this. It's so disgusting. I see naked pics, her boobs, explicit fantasies, etc. Like seriously, what the hell? Is this real? I don't think she knows these people, judging by the age of the messages. I never expected this from the mother of my kids in a million years. In some way, this feels worse than if she were sexting with a friend or coworker. Like, how does she get off on people that she doesn't even know? Am I that crappy of a husband to the point where she needs attention on this low level? Where me telling her she's beautiful and making love to her in person isn't enough and she needs it from strangers. It's not like we don't have an active sex life. It's not like we're not kinky and engaging in things that give her pleasure. I keep thinking this is all a dream. I didn't have much time to snoop, but I took pics of some of the worst texts with my phone. I went into her texts and email but didn't see anything. I didn't have much time to look though because she was done with the shower. I was numb and didn't confront her. I basically just left for work and yelled I was late and that's it. Whereas we usually get our kids ready together and I say a proper farewell to her. Now I've been sitting at home alone for the past hour not knowing what to do. I know the smart thing is to wait to snoop more before I confront her, but I don't think I have the patience for it. I also am not even sure what to do about this. Is this actually cheating for real? Is there any hope that this meant nothing to her and she can stop? I don't even know if I would have the strength to leave her if she can't. What are the chances that random sex are it and she hasn't ever met up with anyone in person? I'm so disgusted right now. Update. Wow. The last 24 hours have been the hardest of my life. I gave a quick update in the comments already, but basically, I waited a day so I could snoop more, but I didn't find anything more than a couple of explicit text threads. Then, yesterday after the kids were in bed, I decided to confront her. I started by saying, "Are you doing anything inappropriate you'd like to tell me about?" And maybe it was my body language or she realized something was wrong with me, but she immediately broke down and admitted to it. She had done it once before for a couple of days a few months ago. It was a combination of stumbling into it, boredom and wanting validation. She has had issues with her body for a while and wanted some reassurance that she was still attractive, saying I have to say it so she couldn't believe me when I give her compliments. She claims that she was turned on by the attention but that she didn't actually get off and only was pretending to. She had no clue what these men actually looked like, besides their private parts obviously, so she said she couldn't actually get into it and didn't even want to take it that far. She compared it to if I had personal chats with someone on OnlyFans. Except she wasn't even getting off to it. She cried, apologized a million times, and didn't try to blame me at all. She did try to minimize it though, and wouldn't acknowledge the word cheating at first. I had planned to only engage for about 30 minutes, so I set a silent alarm on my phone, and then when it went off, I literally dropped it in the middle of the convo and left for the hotel. That was the hardest thing I'd ever done, as she was begging me to not leave. I took some Benadryl, but still took a while to fall asleep by myself after silencing my phone and putting it in a drawer, so I wasn't tempted. I woke up several times but resisted the urge to check it. But first thing in the morning, I couldn't help it. Obviously, she blew up my phone with texts, calls, etc., saying what you'd expect. She also sent me a long email where she admitted that it was cheating and that she deserved divorce and anything I chose. But she was willing to do anything to get another chance to gain my trust back. I actually went home by 7 because of my kids. She didn't actually threaten to. But in the state she was in, I was afraid she'd hurt herself and then they'd be there alone. We don't have any family close by. Of course, I was afraid for her too. But mostly my heart was racing because of the kids. She hadn't slept all night and I told her to go sleep and I'd watch the kids, but she took a shower only and drank coffee to help me. We've talked in little bursts throughout the day while they're watching TV. She's crying on and off. She finally is taking a nap now since she's been up all day, and I think I've given her some indication that I'm not planning on walking away from the marriage immediately, even though I haven't said I forgive her or anything close to it. I told her basically I haven't decided, but I don't know how I can trust her again. She says she understands and she'd feel close to the same way if it were me. She deleted Reddit and also says I have full access to her phone upon request. She says I can track her location or do whatever I want for as long as it takes, or maybe even forever. She admitted that she thought I'd never find out because she was going to end these chats soon enough. But she also admitted she may have done it again in the future if she hadn't gotten caught because, in her mind, she was rationalizing it as harmless validation and only pretending to be into it as much as she was. She says she understands that it's not harmless and has hurt me permanently. She claims she never would have met up with anyone. I asked her whether she'd get bored and take it to the next level, and she says she couldn't imagine herself ever doing that. But she also admits she fell into even taking it this far. We're obviously getting marriage counseling. She also said she would start therapy again, had done it once in the past, to figure out why she needs this much validation and how she can overcome this desire. I told her we needed to sleep separately and she volunteered to stay on an air mattress in our daughter's room. I cried too, for the first time since this began during one of the conversations this afternoon. I hadn't been able to this whole time. I feel like she broke my heart, but I also feel her sorrow. I do know of her intense need for validation. She had a rough childhood where she was abused in different ways by both parents and then was with an abusive boyfriend who nagged her for years before she met me. She is a normal weight but thinks she's morbidly obese. She thinks she brainwashed me, her words, somehow to get me to stay with her. I truly don't see her as being a manipulative person. She told me she loved me more than anything and she hates that she hurt me. Said this like 1,000 times. I'm so exhausted. I don't know what I'm hoping, but I just want to not feel this pain. At the very least, I think I'll go ahead with the counseling to see how this can be salvaged. The texts and images still disgust me, but I feel sad more than angry. Thanks everyone for reading this and all the support and comments. I read them multiple times, and a lot of the advice was spot on and helped me get this far. I may update later in another post, but I might also take a break from my phone for a few days. Update 2. I thought my relationship with my wife had a chance after discovering some messages, but it was actually just the tip of the iceberg. In brief, I had a gut feeling and found some explicit messages with random Reddit men on my wife's phone. She confessed and seemingly gave me full transparency going forward, saying she only wanted validation. She said she had never met up with anyone in real life and swore there was nothing more. It hurt like hell, but I accepted her apologies and decided to try marriage counseling. Since then, I hadn't been able to convince myself that it was all. I feel now dumb, but I only since discovered that you can see recently deleted texts and pictures, which I didn't check in my previous snooping. So last night, when I stayed awake ruminating on it once again, I looked in my wife's phone one last time in the recently deleted texts. Well, I'm sure a lot of you will berate me for being so naive. I found texts with her coworker. Someone I've hung out with several times, who's been to our house with his wife and kid. I found messages indicating that they have met up in the past to cheat at his house while his wife is working and the kid at school. But she most recently told him they'll have to take a break for a bit, apparently since she got caught messaging. I found a couple of nude pictures my wife sent him of her body. I can't get his words out of my head. Can't wait to lick you again, and you get me so hot. I'm absolutely horrified. And I'm done. She played me for a fool, swearing up and down that she never physically stepped out. I haven't told her I know yet. My heart is breaking for our kids who will now grow up in a broken home. I truly thought we had the most perfect life a couple of weeks ago. I feel like I'm going to break, but I decided not to tell her until I meet with some lawyers this week. I already took pics of the evidence, but I'm in a no-fault state, so I don't know if it's worth anything. I'll follow their advice on what to do. I'm also going to call my brother and see if he can come into town and stay with me for a few days when shit hits the fan. I'm going to try to get her to leave the house and move out, but not sure how. I also want to confront the bastard who's sleeping with my wife at their job in front of his wife. But I won't give in to my revenge fantasies yet. I don't know how I am going to get through this. Story 2. My 20F friend, 23F, tried to kiss me at her bachelorette party after confessing her feelings to me while drunk. Should I tell her fiancé what happened? I apologize if this feels a little rushed, as this all just happened and I'm currently in the process of packing my stuff up to go home after the events that just took place. I'm feeling a lot of things right now, and it's just a lot going on, and I want to know whether I should cut her off and tell her partner or not that this happened. I just want to know where I should go from here. Like whether I should cut her off completely or if I should tell her fiancé this happened or not. Names are obviously changed here for privacy reasons. Sorry for the long text in advance. I, 20F, have known my friend L, 23F, since the 6th grade. Elle was older from the rest of us because she started school far later due to being homeschooled for a long time and some horrible family circumstances that later led to her being removed and placed in foster care. When Elle started school, she was far behind everyone else of her own age, so she was placed based on where she was academically. Now to reiterate, by the time Elle and I met, she had already been attending public school for quite some time. Elle and I were very close, but our friendship wasn't always admittedly the most healthy. Elle always cared a lot about what others thought of her and was always trying to impress the more popular kids. To her, I was always the friend who would always be there though. She could be her most vulnerable self around me, as opposed to everyone else. But when others were looking, it was like she was this completely different person. A while back Elle had met someone, her now fiancé, 25M, who we'll call Connor. They dated for a few years before he proposed to her and she accepted his proposal. She eventually approached me to be her maid of honor, but I had to refuse because I would not have been able to attend their wedding, which was a destination wedding being held somewhere in Scotland. She wasn't upset with me because she understood why, but I felt like I let her down. Fast forward to her bachelorette party, which she decided to hold a week before her actual wedding in her city, a 6-hour drive from me, so I could actually make it. This is where things take a turn. As the night progresses, everyone but me is just getting hammered. As I choose to not drink, I'm not a drinker, and watch out for them. Elle eventually gets so drunk that I'm starting to get worried, so I take her aside and tell her she needs to pace herself. We have this lighthearted back and forth when suddenly she gets very quiet. I won't get into exact wordings, but basically, she tells me about how much she appreciates me always being there for her through everything and how much I mean to her. She starts going on about how she feels like I'm the only person in her life who she thinks will always be there for her. And I just chalk it up to her being wasted at first, but then she starts to tear up and she goes, "You know, this might make me sound like a terrible person, but I'm glad you won't be at the actual wedding. Because if you were there I wouldn't be able to go through with it," and she just trails off. At this point I'm confused, but this horrible sinking feeling starts to settle in, and then it's like my worst fears were confirmed when she touches my cheek and leans in to kiss me. I was so shocked that I pushed her away. I just felt sick and angry and disgusted, and it probably showed on my face because she started crying. She tried to approach me and I just told her to stay the away from me, and I left. I went back to the Airbnb where we were all staying and I ended up packing all my things. Someone picked me up and I'm on my way back to my city right now. Just a disclaimer. My disgust had nothing to do with her being another woman. I'm bisexual and this is something everyone knows. I am disgusted because I feel betrayed and used and lied to. I'm disgusted because she's always relied on me in private and then went on to treat me like way less than in front of others. I'm disgusted because she knows I'm in a relationship and I've mentioned my boyfriend a lot. And I'm disgusted because she tried to kiss me when she has a fiancé that she's marrying in a week. She's blowing up my phone with texts, and so are the other girls. Some of them are calling me an asshole for abandoning her so close to her special day. I doubt they know what actually happened and probably assumed Elle and I just argued or something. I doubt Elle would even tell them herself since she's always been unapologetically straight. I feel like I may be a jerk for just leaving without saying anything the way I did. I want to also tell her fiancé about it because I feel he deserves to know. He's a good guy and we both have been on friendly terms. I feel like if he heard that I just left he would ask, as Elle had introduced me as one of her closest friends. Update. I finally checked all the texts she sent me. And honestly, I feel a little pissed. It's a lot of basically saying, "This is why I never told you. This is how I responded. Listen, Elle. We've been friends for years and if you had told me you felt this way much earlier, while I wouldn't have returned your feelings, I feel like we would have been able to move forward from it. Our entire friendship. You've always made it a point to make me feel small around other people and put me down so much that, for the longest time, made me feel like you were the only one who could tolerate me. You treated me like your closest friend in private. And like a pet in public, but I stuck around because I felt like you were dealing with a lot and that somewhere deep down you cared about me. But I see now that it was never as simple as that. I feel like you used me. Used our friendship. You took me for granted and tried to ruin the other stable relationships I've had. You tried to kiss me knowing I had a boyfriend. Knowing you had a partner that you were marrying soon. That's not right. And I think you know it's not right. I can't bring myself to see you the same way. And I would appreciate it if you stopped trying to contact me because, as it stands, I want nothing to do with you. In addition to that, you need to tell your fiancé. He deserves to know what happened before he marries you. If you don't tell him, I'll be telling him myself. Please do not reach out again. And then I checked my other messages and I basically got a text from her fiancé this morning asking me if something happened and I just sent the following message. Things are a bit of a mess right now. I'm not sure whether or not it's my place to say, but I think you should ask her yourself. I can't promise she'll be truthful about it given the nature of it, but if she isn't, I'll fill you in myself since I believe that you deserve to know. But yeah, ask her first yourself. Opinion. Honestly, I think it's best that you aren't friends with her anymore. Not only because of the way she treated you, but also due to her feelings for you. I feel like if you remained her friend, even after she got married, she would still have those feelings. And it would have likely come up later on, if she didn't happen to tell you this time around. It was definitely wrong for her to try and kiss you. That shows a lack of respect for her partner and your relationship. If she often treated you badly or differently in public, that is in itself a good enough reason to stop being her friend. But this was just the straw that broke the camel's back. Hopefully everything works out with her and her partner. Someone who can reciprocate her feelings. But in the end, This is the best solution to prevent any further problems, and it may help her to be able to lose her feelings for you. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next latest scoop.